Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to season 10, episode 10, overall 505 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme sent you. And you can email the dealership at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family-run and operated in the city of Guelph since 1969, and yours truly has been a proud customer of Barry Cullen Chevrolet for the last 25 years. I hope everyone's doing well on this Tuesday, March 4th, 2025 here in Ontario. And I'm looking forward to my guest tonight. This is his second appearance on my show, the first since December 1st, 2022. And I happened to run into him last year at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame ceremonies in St. Mary's, Ontario. And his name is Rod Black. He's an iconic Canadian broadcaster with TSN and CTV and a media personality and the voice of the CEBL's Scarborough Shooting Stars, and he's also now involved with the IBL's Toronto Maple Leafs as well. So we're going to bring on Rod Black, and we're going to talk a little sports with Rod. Good evening, Rod. How are you?
Hey, Chris. Happy Tariff Tuesday.
Thank you so much. Thanks for
March 4th or March backwards, is that's how we call it. That's what it is. I never talk about politics. I don't like to talk about politics. I don't like to talk about politicians. I don't like to make jokes about politicians because they get elected too often. But I will tell you, it's from the Great White North. It is a day where we are standing united. And as many politicians that I'm not going to say don't like, I really don't have an opinion on. I'm proud of our politicians in every party today for standing up. That's what we do. We stand on guard, and that's it. No more political talk. Let's talk sports. Although if you're going to the United States, there is a 25% tariff on this broadcast to the States.
Right now, we need our humor too, Rod. And for me, doing this talk show and my media work and following sports is kind of like therapy to me.
Yeah, that's why I love sports. It's like real life, just different.
Hey, speaking of Canada, what were your thoughts on that Four Nations win by Canada over the States?
Yeah, it was astounding. I think it was way 1,000% better than I thought it was. I was actually probably a skeptic at the beginning about the Four Nations because I didn't think it would be as intense. And I think a lot of us were wrong. I think we were very wrong in our assessment moving in because it was like an all-star break. I thought it'd be a no-hitter. I remember the World Cup a few years ago. It was played in the summer. It was kind of a no-hitter. I didn't think pride would play in, but there were three things that a lot of people forgot about. A year out of the Olympics, which is a huge one, and players are playing for the Olympics. I think the second one was the fact that we never saw McDavid play with Crosby before, and McKinnon and McCarr play so-called best on best. And the third one, I said I never talk about politics, but the politics played in. And all of the vitriol that was going on behind the scenes and the booing of the anthems and all of that and the, we against them. And, it's so un-Canadian to boo things like that. But I just think, again, as Canadians, we weren't booing the Americans, our friends, our players. We were booing policy. And it made for an incredible tournament. The line brawl, I'm not the biggest proponent on fighting, but at the same time, that line brawl was shocking. And the fact that it started right away, then it was doubly shocking when it happened again, and then it happened again in 3 fights within 9 seconds. I would say one thing, though, and it was a spectacular ending for Canada. It could have gone the other way for the United States. Austin Matthews had a great chance to win it, and a great save by Jordan Binnington in overtime. But the United States could have won, and they had a lot to play for as well, for the memory of Johnny Gaudreau, and they were all playing for number 13, and it would have been a great story, as well for the U.S. But we won by the slimmest of margins, we being Canada. I will tell you, I think that trophy will probably be put in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I don't think they'll ever play for that trophy again. I don't think there will be another Four Nations. I think there'll be some sort of facsimile of it, iteration of it down the road. They called it best on best. It was not best on best. We were missing teams and players from Russia and Czech Republic, Czechia, and Slovakia, and Leon Draisaitl and Tim Stützle from Germany as well. So some of the best players weren't playing in it. But I think the next time we might see this every 2 years, and we might see it as sort of a World Cup. And I could see where it might be 6 teams, and it was fantastic. I know the Florida Panthers aren't saying that right now. When they lose Matthew Tkachuk for the rest of the regular season because of a groin pull, I was worried as much as we were rooting for it, Chris, I think a lot of GMs and presidents of hockey clubs were breathing deep breaths of relief when their players came home healthy, except for those that were hurt, including Shea Theodore and others. It's risky, but it's hockey, and that's the way they play. And it was great hockey. It was great. It's been actually hard to digest. I think you would probably agree. Digest what we're watching the last few days after watching such highly entertaining, high-octane hockey.
I definitely hope the NHL All-Star game doesn't come back. And if they're going to do this again in the future, I'd be all in favor of it, but with more countries. And Rod, I wanted to bring up another Canadian subject too. I haven't had you on my show in a couple years, and I want to say congratulations on your son, Tyler Black, getting up with the Milwaukee Brewers last April. And it was amazing that he got a hit with you doing the play-by-play in the 5th inning of the game. How did that all turn out?
Yeah. It was cool. He got called up. We got the call on April 29th. It was the day before my wife's birthday. We were in Cancun on a work vacation. I had to host a convention down in Cancun for Automobile Dealers Association of Ontario, MVRO. I did a session. We were there 24 hours. And then my wife and I were on the beach enjoying a moonlit night, kind of romantic. And then we missed 6 calls from my son, Tyler, and we kind of knew something was up. And he said, get your ass down, get your ass up here. I'm going to the show. And so now we had to scramble, and we had to scramble indeed. We were able to secure flights in the middle of the night that just got open at the last minute. Flew Spirit Airlines, shout out Spirit Airlines. They were able to open some flights up, I guess. And I got a couple of tickets, and then we got there just in the nick of time. Didn't have our phones with us. Didn't think he was going to play because he had arrived late from Nashville. He wasn't in the starting lineup. And then as we were just sitting down, first inning, Gary Sanchez pulled up lame going to first base. You always hate to see when a player gets hurt, but lo and behold, my kid pops out of the dugout, and there he is. He's in the big leagues and got a chance. I thought he was only going to run. I thought that was it. And then he did bat for the rest of the game in the DH spot, and he got a double in his first at bat. And then I knew they were going to come up and interview me. They always interview parents, and I was a little reticent. She said, "You want to call it?" Sophia Minert, this great reporter for the Brewers, and my wife was sitting with me, and she didn't want to be. She was too nervous to talk and didn't want to talk. And I said, "Well, I really don't want to call it because you never know. He could get hit in the head. He could strike out." And knowing me, probably the way you know me, I'd say, "Yeah, well, that sucks." But then I just see this, well, why don't I just talk to you? And then sure enough, as she was interviewing me, that happened. And it was great for him. And, he had a couple of call-ups. It was a memorable, unforgettable night. People always still bring it up to me. And now he's back at spring training. He had a great catch last night in the spring training game, and was off out of the lineup for a week because of a little back tweak. So he's back at it, trying to get on that opening day roster as everybody else is. And he's working hard. So fingers crossed that happens. And he's back in the big leagues, and I'm not going to be interviewed in any games anytime soon to do the play-by-play. I can tell you that.
You must be so proud as a father, but also as a Canadian. And Rod,
Hmm.
you've been in the sports industry for many decades. How much better has baseball, the talent level in Canadian baseball, has grown over the decades?
Well, it's grown. I think it still can grow some more. And that's not a criticism of Canadian baseball. They do a great job, but I think they can start to take a model of basketball. And what basketball, we're in a golden era of basketball, and we have the second most amount of international players next to the United States. Second most amount of players from a nation is Canada, and we have the MVP. I think undeniably the MVP this year, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We've had a two-time MVP and Steve Nash. Hey, we invented the game of basketball in 1891 in Springfield, Massachusetts, in a YMCA with Dr. James Naismith. So, we're a hockey nation, yes, but we have seen basketball grow, and the Raptors coming, of course, was huge. The World Basketball Championship the year before was huge. Raptors the next year, I got a chance to cover the team for a quarter of a century and got to watch them win a championship. That was huge. It turned a lot of kids on, including the Grizzlies, by the way, the Vancouver Grizzlies, who were also brought into the NBA with the Raptors in 1995, and I did those games as well. And so, coast to coast, kids were starting to pick up basketballs, boys and girls, and the game's grown leaps and bounds. And I like to see baseball take that as well. And I think they can take the model. We have a lot of great Canadian baseball players, and next year's the WBC again, and there is a chance that baseball is returning to the Olympics in 2028. I think we're ranked 12th or 13th. That is a bogus representation of Canadian baseball. I think we're about 5th or 6th in the world. Could be higher, potential podium. We've got a lot of great players, but again, it goes in waves. It trends in and out at times. We're seeing a lot of kids who go down to the States, a lot of talented arms, a lot of talented bats who go down to the States, get NCAA scholarships. We've had MVPs and Joey Votto and Justin Morneau. That might have been the golden era when we had guys like that, Russell Martin. And now they're giving back, they're giving back to the national team. And we have a Hall of Famer in Larry Walker, who I think someday would be the manager probably of Team Canada as well. And so, I think right now we're still kind of knocking on the door. We have Tyler O'Neill, who I think is one of the best power hitters in baseball. But we have a lot of Canadians out there, and I think we can have more. And I think that model, I hope baseball kind of looks at it in the mirror and says, hey, we should take the model from what basketball did. Start them young, get good representation, make sure we have a national program in place where people are getting together a lot and getting a chance to play internationally a lot so we can increase our ranking. But it's great to see, and I have a boy that proudly wears the maple leaf, gets a chance perhaps to play for Canada next year or even at the Olympics. So that's really cool. But and now we're seeing girls, as well. I know there's softball out there, and that's an option. It's always been an option for girls, but now there's good girls baseball program as well. And here's a good trivia question for you. I don't know if you know this, and if you ask somebody, what's the number one feeder sport to the NCAA for Canadian athletes? And you would say probably hockey, right? People would say, oh, hockey. Well, it's not, because there are not a lot of hockey teams. And I'm not just talking Division I, I'm talking Division II, Division III, and I guess NAIA as well. And you might think, well, maybe with our basketball boom, and it's growing, our basketball boom, we've got a lot of Canadians on NCAA scholarship, but it's not even close. The answer is basketball. Or sorry, the answer is baseball. Baseball has more players because of, think about it, also softball and baseball. So baseball has the most amount of NCAA Canadian athletes represented in the United States. I personally like to see a lot of kids stay up here more and, get our programs in Canadian University. We got some good programs. We just got to bring it up. And, we're pretty proud baseball nation. I like to see the Expos come back, little things like that, that could create the rivalry. But the Blue Jays have carried that torch for a long time and inspired a lot of kids, including my own. My two boys who both play, and I know I called the games for a long time. I was inspired by the Blue Jays. I still think that the 92 World Series and 93 World Series were 1 and 2 on my list of greatest things I've ever covered, and I include the Olympics in that because of what it meant at the time. It was huge. So baseball is near and dear to my heart. I know it's near and dear to Canadians' hearts, and I think it's growing. I think it has grown, and I think it can grow even more for sure.
I became a baseball fan in the late 70s when the Blue Jays came to Toronto, and my late dad, when we lived in Oakville, would take me to Exhibition Stadium. And at the
Yeah,
time, I remember the first game I
a
went to
mistake
was
by the lake.
May 1978 on Lower Secord night as a 6-year-old kid. And to this day, I
Wow.
remember that night as a 6-year-old kid. And I know it wasn't a great stadium, but I just have so much fond memories. And the Blue Jays coming to Toronto helped me become a Major League Baseball fan. Obviously, I grew up later.
Yeah.
My cousins in Michigan turned me into a Tigers fan because of Trammell and Whitaker and Sparky, but it was because of the Toronto Blue Jays and Paul Godfrey bringing the team to Toronto back in '76.
Yeah, it was an amazing time. I grew up in Winnipeg, and I grew up an Expo fan because that's the only game. And I guess I'm dating myself. And I watched the guys I grew up following were my heroes were named Rusty Staub and Gary Carter, and I got a chance to work with a kid later in his life as well. And when he transitioned to the broadcast booth, and Steve Rogers, of course, and Tim Wallach and Terry Francona, who played as well, and gosh, we had the minor league team. The Winnipeg Whips were the minor league team for the Expos, and I went to games when I was the 6-year-old at Old Winnipeg Stadium. It was a football stadium converted to baseball, but chasing foul balls, and it was just such a juice. But at that time, their games were only shown on Saturdays. That was the only time games where baseball were shown, Saturday or Sunday. And the only time you saw the Expos were Saturday afternoon or Saturday night, and it would be. And I grew up following Dave Van Horn and
Duke Schneider.
And also then later, Don Chevrier as well was doing the Blue Jay broadcasts, and that was those were my heroes growing up, following those guys and watching the Expos. And people say, well, it didn't work much. It didn't work because of shoddy ownership. Montreal has great baseball fans, and I would say they have more historical baseball fans than even Toronto. It goes back a long way. Jackie Robinson, for goodness sake, played there. Tommy Lasorda. You go on and on and on of all the players. Dick Williams, who were all, with the Expos organization at the time, are playing minor league baseball in Montreal, and then the Expos came up, and it was the game. And yeah, the Olympic Stadium wasn't a great stadium, but when it was full, it didn't matter. But I think to this day, if an owner came along, it'd have to be a billionaire owner, maybe you, Chris, because you got all that money after 505 shows, can put some money into it. I think we can. I think there's a chance that down the road, I can't see why Montreal is not a viable fit. Now, again, like in our economic war we're in, who knows? But it would be great to have a new stadium down by the Bell Center. Montrealers, they don't go out to eat till like 9 or 10 at night anyway, so it's a perfect sport. The joie de vivre, they love baseball. I remember the name, John Bacabella and all of the Grand Orange and Andre Dawson and Tim Raines and Larry Walker, and you go on. And I broadcast the games in 92, 93, and 94, and even up until the day they left. And I miss those days. And I still think they have the sweetest logo in baseball history, and the beautiful Expos uniforms, the whites, but also those powder blues. And I can see them coming back. And if it wasn't for the Montreal Expos, there would never have been Paul Godfrey, approaching Bowie Kuhn and asking him to get a franchise in Toronto. We never would have had a franchise if it wasn't for the Expos. So I'd love to see that come back. But it is all about kids and going to the games. And, I love to see more kids at the games. They've kind of outpriced it at a lot of ballparks. And that's why I love minor league games. You see lots of kids. Kids don't even kind of watch the game. They don't even know who the players are sometimes. But they like to see a ball. They like to chase a ball. They like to get peanuts and Cracker Jack and hot dogs and cotton candy and all of that. And your memory sticks with you, right? My memories stick with me. And I always say that, parents don't drive kids to games. Kids drive parents to games. And that's how it works. And the more kids we can get to sport, the better it often is.
Rod, do you have time for 2 more quick questions?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and then maybe I can have you back on again in the future to talk more about the IBL's Toronto Maple Leafs.
505, I was on, what did I was on, about 300, so I'll see you at 707.
Well, I'm hoping to make it. I've been really lucky with the guests. I just
congratulations with you.
Well, thank you so much.
Awesome.
And I'm just trying to get better, and I love doing this. And Eric Smith and Chuck Swirsky gave me some great advice when I started. Just have natural conversations. It's okay to write
Yeah.
points down,
Yeah.
but I've learned to think on my feet, and some of my guests have really given me great advice over the years.
Yeah, that's the main thing. It's not rocket science. It's sports. Sometimes there's serious stories, and sometimes you got to know your stuff. And obviously, you got to know your stuff all the time. But sometimes you got to know stuff outside the realm. But the beauty of sports is that it's unpredictable. I've always loved it because you can't write the endings. And every single day something different. And someday you're going to go to a ballpark or a hockey rink or a football field or a gymnastics event or a lacrosse meet or a soccer pitch or a boxing ring or a UFC cage or wherever it is. And you're going to see something you haven't seen before, something that could amaze you. And that's what I love about it. And it's kept me going. I've been doing it for, since I was 18, like that's a long time ago, almost 43 years ago. I've been doing it my whole life, really, and I'm going to continue till the day I absolutely drop. I love sports. It's an intoxication.
And one thing I'm most proud of on my show, Rod, I love my sports, but I've also turned it into a full talk show. So it's very diverse with guests and topics. So I'm trying to
life.
Do a little bit of everything. Yeah, I don't want to be stereotyped into the one trick pony, especially in the radio media industry.
Yeah, well, everybody's a broadcaster now, so that's how it works. You just got to be a better broadcaster than the rest, right? I always said, podcasts are like buttholes. Everybody's got one, just some better ones than others. So just keep grinding away there, partner, and
I love
good things happen.
The Toronto Argonauts let me do some media work for them, the Buffalo Bisons, the Buffalo Bandits, and the NFL.
Yeah, awesome.
I was at the NFL draft. I've been very lucky, but Rod, we'll wrap this up. I wanted to get your quick thoughts on the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame class of 2025, led by Jose Bautista. And Brent Carty, who was with the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, wanted to ask me a quick question. What can you remember about the 4 home run game that Carlos Delgado had against Tampa Bay, as you called it? And that's it for questions.
Well, it was like, that's what I said about sports, is that strange things happen. First of all, to the Baseball Hall of Fame, who would have ever thought in the playoffs that Jose Bautista would have hit that bomb and then that bat flip, which not only changed that series, changed the game, changed the series, changed baseball, because everybody started bat flipping. And at the time, when you bat flip, like, you were going to get a ball chucked at your head in the old days, man. You're probably getting one right in the butt side. But now everybody does it. Everybody kind of pimps it, and it's become part of the game, like it or hate it. I'm kind of old school. I think you should pimp or bat flip when you win a game or it's something significant. But now bat flip equals bat flip, mano a mano. So same thing for the Carlos Delgado. And we were sitting down to a game, and it was a late in the season game. Stuff I always find: no hitters, perfect games, 4 home run games, stuff that is very rare in the record books, and 4 home run games are very rare. I think, and by the way, I think the 4 home run games and perfect games, I think there's an equal number of them, like a 16 or whatever. It's something just like it's very ironic that they're like that. But I find it early in the season, late in the season, because early in the season, you can get some teams that pitchers or hitters are a little rusty, or you might have somebody who's on fire early in the season. You also have cold weather, which can affect the game. Later in the season, I find you have call-ups. If teams are out of the picture, you'll see some no-hitters or perfect games. Now, I don't know when you're going to see another complete game no-hitter, Chris. I really don't know if that's going to happen, because they pull pitchers so much now. Pitchers really only last 5 or 6 innings, but that one was one for the ages. And you might not see a 4 home run game again, because, Carlos Delgado was able to hit those bombs off, 3 of his bombs, and actually led off every inning, which was really crazy about that. And Jorge Sosa was the pitcher, and he had a track record in the guy. Boom, boom, boom. And we thought, but the third one, I went, oh my gosh, this is the hat trick. And I actually said the hat trick on the second one, because it was the hat trick off of Sosa because he had in his previous at bat that he had in the previous time they had met. So it was like 3 in a row. So, and then it was a significant night because of, the milestone nights of hitting 300 and all of that. And Then when he hit the fourth, it was like there were no words. It was like, I don't know what I said there. No way did he do this. And I still believe Carlos Delgado, by the way, is a Hall of Famer. He's in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, which is near and dear to my heart, getting a chance to host that from time to time. And, I really admire Jeremy Diamond and his crew out there, and Scott Crawford and Tom Volk before that. I used to do that all the time. I really love that day. It's all about baseball. It's about the community in St. Mary's. Go out and see the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame if you've never been. The artifacts are amazing. The history is amazing. But, just to know that Carlos did that on that day, I still think is one of the great feats in Blue Jay history. I think it's in the top 10. It always will be in the top 10. I do think there is no doubt in my mind should be considered for Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame. I think they missed on that. His numbers back it up. I also believe, I know he was the greatest Blue Jay hitter of all time. And everybody will say Robbie Alomar. I agree. Alomar was a great, I think he was the greatest Blue Jay all around. I think Alomar is the greatest Blue Jay. He went to the Hall of Fame defensively. But the greatest hitter in Blue Jay history, in my mind, impactful hitter in Blue Jay history, was Carlos Delgado. And I'll tell you, Jose Bautista was not far behind.
And Rod, I was going to say, I'm looking forward to covering the class of 2025. Will you be back as the master of ceremonies again this year?
Well, if they ask me, I guess, I'll have to see what my schedule is like. I love it. I love coming out there. I'm notoriously late, but although last year I really enjoyed it. I love the day. It was so nice to see the people out there, see old friends. The tent is spectacular. You saw it's a love-in. I think one of the greatest speeches I've ever seen, most heartwarming, was from Russell Martin. They say there's no crying in baseball, but man, that guy didn't live up to that. He was crying through that speech, and it goes to show you how much that honor meant to him. And I've seen that before. I've seen the emotion. People say, Cito Gaston, for instance, another one, should be in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. And I think he gets put back on the ballot or is vying again next year. And he should be in. There is no doubt in my mind. It's a wrong that needs to be righted. He needs to be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. But being in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, that's special to Cito. Tear comes to his eye when you talk to him about it. Talk to all of the players who've been there. Talk to Joe Carter, my buddy Joe Carter. Talk to Robbie Alomar. Talk to them all. Talk to the Expos. Talk to the late Jim Fanning. Talk to them. Talk to Larry Walker, George Bell. And Joey Votto is going to go in, eventually, like soon, if he doesn't come back. It means something. It's special to be in a pantheon of great baseball players, Canadian baseball players. There's very few, but to know that you've made it, I love the place. And anytime they ask, it's hard to say no.
Same here. And this summer, as much as I love going over to the States and cover minor league baseball over there, I want to try to do more inter-county baseball league games and more baseball
Toronto
games.
Maple Leafs, brother.
I've got to get down to Christie Pitts. By the way, before we wrap this up,
we got Cito Gaston as our ambassador this year. We got a great story with that Japanese pitcher.
Awesome.
Who just happens to be female.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, and the ownership group does a great job. And Rob Butler, who gave an incredible, I wouldn't say acceptance, but a presentation speech at the Conn Smythe Sports Dinner last week before Cito came up, how much that means to him. And Rob Butler is another one, Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. The Butler brothers should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
I'd love to get him on my show too.
And Robbie's a great GM of that team, and he does so much for baseball. He and his brother both have done so much. Helped my kids out a lot as well through the years. I know my son, very proud to say that Robbie helped him so much. And but yeah, intercounty baseball, it's where it's happening. I think they got him. Again, I'm a perfectionist. I like to see the league make a few more little tweaks. I like to see more college players playing. I like to see that kind of become a feeder system. But at the same time, if you want to enjoy a great afternoon or a great night, go out and watch IBL. Go to Christie Pitts in particular, because the price is right. I'll tell you what, anybody who wants to come to Christie Pitts, I'll get you a ticket. Free ticket on me.
Okay, I'll take you up.
It's free.
and I like your hats, and I like your.
Yeah, I should have my hat on tonight. I should have had that on. By the way, the merch is going like crazy. Get online. I see it's behind you there. Get that Maple Leaf merch. And by the way, Toronto Maple Leafs hockey fans, the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team was around. Whoops, can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you still good.
Yeah. Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team was around a lot longer than the Maple Leafs hockey team that took the name after Conn Smythe came back from the war. Maple Leafs have been around a lot longer. So it's nice to have two Leaf teams in the city, and maybe we'll have two champions this year, one in the IBL and one in the National Hockey League.
I'm definitely going to get down to Christie Pitts, and I want to get a Leafs hat and one of those jerseys, a powder blue one, especially.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Rod.
I got to get myself some. I got to get some merch here. Keith Stein, I'm shouting at you. Got to get some, and it's fun. It's good to be part of it. And like I said, the league's growing, and we get a few more games on TV and get the mainstream media. Which
I'd be happy to do some social media stuff when I get.
We got to get the mainstream as well to start recognizing it and where what it represents in Canada, and we should have more highlights on there, and we need to promote our own. By the way, on a day like today, we need to talk about our Leaf more. We need to stand up, and we gotta support more Canadian leagues. Canadian leagues. And the IBL is a perfect one. So on Canada Day, including, get out and watch baseball this year. It's nice to watch the Blue Jays, but let's support Canadians. Let's eat Canadian, drink Canadian, grow Canadian right now, and stand up for Canadians. Especially after a day like today.
Absolutely. And then you got the Canadian League Basketball League, which I'll have to talk to you the next time. I guess you're going to come back as their play-by-play announcer for Scarborough? Yeah.
So, and I do the games on TSN as well, so I'm looking forward to that this year. I love that league. I love that league. And again, talk about Canadian.
Absolutely.
Those Canadian players getting a chance to play with NBA players, and it's become a feeder system. If you're watching this or listening, and you haven't watched or gone to a CEBL game yet, you're missing. You've missed, because fantastic level of play, a walk-off ending every night with the target score endings, great caliber of play, NBA caliber players, NBA players who have the caliber to play at the highest level, including FIBA, and Canadians who are getting a chance. To play. So get out and watch it. And yeah, Scarborough's got a great thing going, and OVO Nico, and my buddy Lowell, and of course Sam Ibrahim, the owners, done a great job, and a new arena that's going to be built in that area. And Brampton just got a brand new ownership. Shout out to my friend Lenny Asper, whose brother David owns Winnipeg, and Brampton's got new ownership. That's a good thing for Brampton. Great mecca for basketball. How many great NBA players have come from that hood? And Mayor Patrick Brown, who I know supports that team. So a good rivalry in the GTA with the Honey Badgers and the Shooting Stars. And then you go down a little further, go to a game in Niagara, St. Catharines, the Meridian Center. Man, it's incredible what they do there. And their game ops are fantastic. And they also just happen to be champions. And I can't wait to get it started again. It's a great tweener league right after the NBA season, right leading into the summer, into the G League and the Summer League. It's the caliber is unbelievable. I don't know if you've gone to a game yet, Chris, but you'll be my guest this summer.
Absolutely. And Rod, I got my broadcasting bug from the Guelph Nighthawks back in 2019.
Oh, the NBL?
With the CEBL. They before they moved to Calgary, they needed
the Calgary Surge.
Yep, they needed a camera guy. I'd never done camera work. They paid me. They liked my work. Led to Rogers TV, which led to my broadcasting bug. So I'm extremely great. I'm sad that they left. Guelph went to Calgary, but the CEBL was the reason why I found what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
so
I think if people saw the early the spawning of that league at the time, and they saw it, they might have not. They wondered, because we had the NBL and other leagues. NBL's still out there, and the leagues that have failed. This is a great league for Canadian ballers, and I like to see a women's league start like that down the road. Now with Tempo coming in, I think that's going to maybe some owners will start bringing maybe 3 or 4 WCEBL teams. But yeah, no, it's a great league, and I know they miss it in Guelph, but Calgary's got a great team. But you don't have to go too far down the road now. And Guelph had great fans there too, and they had great players. I mean, they had some great players, and so looking forward to it starting up in a couple of months. And I think training camps, I think just over a month away. So itching to get going and can't wait with my broadcast partner, Warren Ward, and others. It's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely. Hey, Rod, where can my audience follow you on social media? And I'd love to have you back on.
I haven't been that great on it lately. I think at Rod Black on Twitter and on Instagram. And I'm on LinkedIn as well, but you'll find me. You'll find me up there somehow. And I love sports. I love CanadianSports.com. I should take that one.
Absolutely. And I definitely will let you know when I can come down to a Shooting Stars game. And I definitely
anytime, you be my guest.
And Christy Pitts, I want to come down to the Leafs game, have a beer.
You get free tickets. So does everybody else.
And I'll even have a Left Field Brewery beer, which I'm a big fan of Left Field Brewery. And the Toronto Maple Leafs. But Rod, hey, I want to say thank you so much for doing this. And I'd love to have you come back on again at some point in the future. And hopefully we'll see you at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame on Saturday, June 7th.
Yeah, congratulations to your 505. Many, many more. Keep it going.
Been very lucky. Been very lucky.
Keep asking people. If they don't answer right away, they will get your answers. And keep loving sports. Thanks, everybody. Let the sports be with you.
Thank you so much, Rod. Have a good night.
Cheers. Cheers. See you.
All right, guys. That concludes season 10, episode 10. Overall 505 of Live with CDP Sports Entertainment Talk Show. And that was longtime iconic Canadian broadcaster Rod Black, formerly of CTV and TSN. He is now the play-by-play announcer for the Scarborough Shooting Stars of the Canadian Basketball League. And he's a part of the ownership group of the IBL's Toronto Maple Leafs. So I want to say thank you to Rod Black for coming on here today. And before we wrap up this show, guys, I'm going to play a little clip from CTV News YouTube channel of Tyler Black, his son's first Major League Baseball hit. And this is courtesy of CTV News YouTube channel. And this is Tyler Black's first baseball hit. And Rod Black was able to do play-by-play for it.
Sportscaster during his son's Major League Baseball debut, played out on live TV and has become a huge hit. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth on a family's field of dreams.
23-year-old Canadian baseball player Tyler Black made a splash in his first ever Major League game for Milwaukee with his family watching. When the Brewers play-by-play crew spotted his father, former CTV and TSN broadcaster Rod Black, they put him on TV, back behind the mic for his son's at-bat.
There's a base hit to right field for my boy, Tyler Black. There you go. Oh, there you go.
A heartwarming occasion for the entire family.
I don't even know how to describe that feeling. I've called so many hits and goals and moments.
Post-game, Tyler saw his dad's reaction.
It was great. I think they're down here now, but unbelievable.
TSN analyst Steve Phillips called it one of the best baseball moments he has seen in a long time.
The timing of it could not have been better, right? In the middle of the interview, he comes up, he gets the base hit, and Dad breaks out into the broadcast voice.
Rod Black was in Cancun, Mexico on a family vacation when he found out his son Tyler had been called up to the Milwaukee Brewers. The family made it to the ballpark just in time. Tyler's mother, Nancy, was celebrating her birthday.
And then he gave my wife the ball. The double, so that was pretty special.
Tyler had 2 hits in his debut, plus another hit in his second game with the Brewers on Wednesday. Phillips was not surprised.
This is a guy that can swing the bat. He can really hit.
Tyler and the entire Black family hope there are many more hits in the future, creating memorable moments like this. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News.
And that clip was courtesy of CTV News in Toronto. And that was Rod Black's son, Tyler Black, who made his Major League Baseball debut with the Milwaukee Brewers last April 30th, 2024 at, I still call it Miller Park in Milwaukee. And I want to say thank you to Rod Black for coming on. And Tyler Black will be up with the Brewers again this year. And Canadian baseball has really improved over the decades as well. Before we wrap up this show, guys, the next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership here in Guelph, is going to be on Friday, March 7th at 9 a.m. Eastern with my special guest, Selena Ella. Selena Ella Moon. She is a business consultant of Souls Preneurs. She helps with people's businesses. So she's Selena Ella Moon, a business consultant of Soul Preneurs, will be on. And I'm really looking forward to speaking to her about her business and some of the challenges as being a business consultant. She's out on the East Coast, Atlantic Coast here in Canada. So I'm looking forward to that show on Friday, March 7th at 9 a.m. Eastern and 6 a.m. on the West Coast. If you want to come on to an early edition of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. Speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet, be proactive about your safety on the road. Right now at Barry Cullen Chevrolet, you can get a no charge. That's right, no charge brake inspection up to $120 in instant savings on GM genuine parts, brake pads, and rotors. So again, at Barry Cullen Chevrolet, have a peace of mind. Go for your no charge free brake inspection, and you happen to need new brakes or servicing, you can get up to $120 in instant savings on GM genuine parts, brake pads, and rotors. Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership is located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for their newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles. And you can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 or email them at info@barrycullen.com. And as we wrap up this show, guys, as you know, I do a lot of volunteer work with the Cambridge District Humane Society. They're located at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. Telephone number 519-623-7722, extension 0, or you can visit their website at cambridgehumanesociety.org. All the animals that are up for adoption there are on their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. And if you're looking to volunteer, like I do twice a week as a dog walker, you can fill out a volunteer form through their website. And they're also doing a quarterly 50-50 draw where half the money goes to the winner, half goes to the shelters programs. And you can buy the tickets through cambridgehumanesociety.org and click on events. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. And please remember to hit the follow and like notifications. You can check out my website at beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph. You can follow this content creator. I'm back on TikTok at Chris Palme, my new page. Long story, but I've got a new page. And please look me up at Chris Palme. Hit the follow, like, and I do produce a lot of content on TikTok. And I'm hoping to build my following up again. It takes a little bit of time, so please at Chris Palme on TikTok as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars or podcasting such as myself, check out StreamYard.com. They have basic free plans or paid professional plans like I have. And if you're a business that does a lot of webinars, podcasting, live streaming, whatever, StreamYard.com and contact their sales department. And yours truly has been with StreamYard now for over 4 years, and I give them a big thumbs up. So if you're looking for good live stream servicing, StreamYard is your place to go to for that. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. The audio versions on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, YouTube Music, and GoodPod. And make sure you hit subscribe and like to my audio platforms for the show as well. And finally, guys, you can email live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show at cpame19@gmail.com. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback, love to hear from you. And also, guys, I am on PayPal. If you guys would like to support my radio and media work through PayPal, cpame19@gmail.com. And also, I've joined the Cameo family about a year ago. If you're looking for a personalized video message from yours truly, CDP, click on cameo.com and type in Chris Pame and book your Cameo today. And finally, guys, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, X, Threads, Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Blue Sky at Live with CDP19 on Blue Sky. And also, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Type in Chris Pame Live with CDP Sports Talk and hit that subscribe and like notification. And I want to say thank you to my 558 subscribers. Let's get Chris up to 600 subscribers. If somebody can get me up to 600 subscribers in the next month or so, I will throw in a 4-pack of Wellington beer. That's right. If you're in the Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge area, and you happen to be my 600th YouTube subscriber, I will throw in a 4-pack of delicious Wellington beer for that person as well. And I am looking at getting new merchandise with t-shirts, so just bear with me on that as well. And that is about it for tonight, guys. Before we wrap this up, the University of Guelph women's hockey team defeated York 2-1 in double overtime on Saturday. So the Griffins now advance to the next round against the Toronto Varsity Blues in a best-of-3 to see who goes to the McCall Cup for the women's championship in the OUAA. Game 1 is Thursday night, Toronto Varsity Blues at the Guelph Griffins women's hockey team, 7:30 at the University of Guelph Ice Rink. And you can get tickets through griffins.ca/tickets. So griffins.ca/tickets. And if you've never seen OUA hockey game or women's hockey at the University of Guelph, I highly recommend it. And it should be a great series between Guelph and Toronto. And yours truly is going to try to get out there Thursday night at the University of Guelph. So Griffins and Varsity Blues women's hockey, Game 1, 7:30 Thursday night in Guelph. Game 2 will be in Toronto. And then after the Game 3, it'll be back at the University of Guelph. So griffins.ca/tickets as well. And again, you can check me out on Cameo, cameo.com/Chris D. Pame. And that's about it, guys. I want to say thank you to Rod Black, who I met last year at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame in St. Mary's, Ontario, for coming on. And please check out the IBL, the Intercounty Baseball League, wherever you live, whether you're in Toronto, you're in Guelph, you're in London. It is a great league, and it's really competitive, and I'm going to try to get out to more IBL games this year as well, and also the CEBL as well. Rod does play-by-play for the Scarborough Shooting Stars as well. So support Canadians and support Canada, and check out the ballparks and the CEBL when they start up in May as well. And that's about it, guys. This is my 8th show in 9 days. 8 shows in 9 days with 10 different guests. And I want to say thank you to everyone for watching this live stream and on my audio platforms. And thank you again to Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership in Guelph, my main major sponsor the last 2.5 years. Check them out if you're looking for a new and pre-owned vehicle, and or electric vehicles they have there as well at Barry Cullen Chevrolet in the Guelph Auto Mall, barrycullen.com. And that's about it, guys. So we'll see you on Friday, March 7th at 9 a.m. for Season 10, Episode 11 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. Again, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I have some more shows booked for next week. And anyone out there that has an interesting, unique story and they'd like to share it on Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show or on the Small Talk podcast, send me an email at cpame19@gmail.com. That's about it. I hope everybody has a great evening, and we'll see you back Friday, March 7th at 9 a.m. for another edition of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership here in Guelph. Good night, everybody.
Chevrolet.